All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. In today's video, I wanted to take a minute and talk about some important data that I have, some important data that I want to talk about. It's September 8th, and that means rent collection period is due, meaning we have collected rents on most of our apartment communities. I have 11 apartment communities, totaling just under 1,000 apartments in Houston, Texas. I also have over 100,000 square feet of industrial space, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to talk a little bit also about the industrial space and what I think is happening there and what rent collections are looking like in the industrial space. Now, before I get into talking about rent collections, I want to take a minute and just talk about what we saw today in the stock market. And we saw a massive sell-off. We saw a decline in the NASDAQ, and we saw continued pressures in tech stocks, meaning everybody's anticipating that tech stocks are going to continue to go down. Now, before I continue with the video, I want to ask you guys actually, to go to my YouTube channel. It's H-Town Hamza, and please subscribe to the channel if you guys are enjoying this this content that I am putting out there at a regular basis. It takes me time to come up and create this content, and I'll really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to the channel. And of course, that way other people can also get notified, when I put content out there. So back to today's topic. Today's topic is collecting rent. Now, before I talk about the data that I have amongst all my communities and collecting rent, I just want to talk about a couple of things about the economy and what I see happening to the economy right now. And I want to take a very simple example, right? Just to give you guys an idea on where I am coming from and what this has to do with the apartment business as a whole. So I'm just going to take a small example, and I'm going to talk about a retailer. Let's just take Macy's, right? Macy's filing for bankruptcy. Business is going down. What are they going to do? They laid off thousands of people, right? Because they have massive overheads, and you have not enough people walking into their retail stores. So they are going to be looking at some sort of e-commerce platform, which that'll be some OpEx that they put into their business in order to develop. Those people are not getting paid, will not have jobs, will be, as a result, unable to, pay rent. So let's also talk about Macy's, for example. Let's also talk about Macy's for a second before we jump into the tenants, right? So Macy's has overhead. This overhead are people. Macy's gets rid of the people. Macy's also gets rid of the rent that they have to pay because now they are unable to pay as part of their bankruptcy, right? So as a result, Macy's is now not paying rent on the commercial side, but also you have hundreds of thousands of people who are getting laid off, who are unable to pay rent. Now, each state, each city has put together a fund. It's called the Rental Assistance Fund. And if you just write rental assistance and the name of your city or the name of your county, something will pop up. There will be some type of rental assistance that is popping up in your area. And this is usually put together by either the city, the county, the state. And what happened is when the pandemic hit us in March, first thing we did as a company is we approached nonprofits, because at that time rental assistance was still not a thing. It took them a little bit of time to catch up and kind of get to where we are today, because we were still dealing with PPP and EIDLs and stimulus checks and all that kind of stuff. And so rental assistance as part of cities' programs had not yet come into play. So we were talking with nonprofits. We were ahead of the curve. I would say we were very proactive as a company. And we were talking to nonprofits, and we partnered up with about 11 nonprofits in town, and we were able to help our tenants collect rent via these nonprofits. So basically what we would do is we would take our tenants and tell them, hey, listen, if you are having problems paying your rent, because we as a company, we as a property still have bills to pay. We have mortgages to pay. We have insurance premiums that we have to pay. We have flood insurance premiums that we have to pay. We have other operating expenses that we have to pay. Things go wrong, we have to fix them. And so there's still a lot of payment that is coming out of our pocket as landlords. So we went to our tenants and we said, dear tenant, if you are unable to pay, please reach out to this nonprofit in town and they will help you with your rent. And that was working out very well. Well, that was back in March. March, April, May, we got funding. PPP was there, so we were able to keep people on hire. Salaries were going. There was a stimulus in the economy of sorts, whether it was unemployment or whether it was people who were employed. So I would say June, July was really when that stimulus dried out. We are currently in September, and I can tell you that we have a completely different outlook right now on what is happening, because most of everybody's PPP funding is done. Most of the companies ended up using their PPP or other stimulus uh, throughout July. And now is the time where everybody's filing with their banks. Everybody's filing with with the organization that filed the PPP for them, in order to get that PPP loan forgiven. Now, as the PPP money dries up, as the stimulus money is drying up, we are also noticing that nonprofit money is drying up as well. That means there's a lot of nonprofits that are completely tapped out. They cannot assist as far as rental assistance. And this is where the city or the county or the state has come in and is providing rental assistance for tenants. I will tell you this, the rental assistance process is not an easy process. It takes time for us to collect rent through the rental assistance process. Now, in the past 3 months, our rental assistance program was very limited, meaning we had a limited number of tenants who were applying for rental assistance. Now what we are noticing is that more and more tenants are starting to apply for rental assistance. So first of all, I want to talk about in this video, I want to talk about rental assistance and what the impact of rental assistance is and how rental assistance ends up working out in apartment communities, right? So you have tenants who are unable to pay rent. They reach out to the city's rental assistance program, and the city's rental assistance program is kind enough to give them money so that they can carry on with their business, with their lives, with their jobs, or stay home if they're sick and not feeling well, right? And continue to pay rent, keep a roof on their heads. The issue that has arisen from this problem now is that the current administration, extended the eviction ban, and that plays a very important role on what is happening right now and what is going to continue to happen till December. The rental assistance program in itself is a finite amount of dollars. So it's a fund with a finite amount of money in it. And basically what's going to end up happening is that rental assistance program is going to dry up between all the landlords who are utilizing it. I'm going to get to how much rental assistance we are seeing per community in just a second. But before I get into that, I really just want to emphasize on what I see happening over the next few months, which is why I have been patiently waiting and not investing in real estate over the past 6 months, because I really believe that there is going to be an opportunity on the other side of the elections. And I'll get into that if you guys want. But mainly today, what I want to talk about is the data that I have on the rental assistance and what our collections are looking like per community, right? So back to rental assistance. Rental assistance is gonna be strong this month, but if we do not see some type of stimulus, sorry, I got a message, so I had to look at that. If we do not see some kind of stimulus right before the elections, we are going to be in big trouble. And the reasoning for that is the rental assistance program, I'm assuming, is the same in every city. And what ends up happening in our city, or what is ending up happening, in our city here in Houston, Texas, is although we are getting a rental assistance from one side, our taxes have gone up significantly on the other hand. So it is almost like we're paying our own rental assistance. And that is a very interesting thing that I have never seen in the past, where taxes have risen so sharply. And then that money somehow comes back to us, trickles down back to us in the form of rental assistance. Now, I don't know why that is. And I feel like these two events are definitely correlated because, of course, the tax county knows if there's one person or if there's one company who is going to pay rent, it is landlords are going to continue to pay who is going to continue to pay taxes. It is the landlords. The landlords will continue to pay taxes no matter what, because then we go into other proceedings with the county that we don't want to, right? So taxes are something that we have to pay every year. Even though we protest those taxes every year, we still have to pay them every year in order to keep a good standing with the local county and the laws, of course. So rental assistance, we get it on one hand. Taxes, on the other hand, go out of our pocket. So it's almost like it really didn't do much for people in the multifamily space. Now, what I worry about is that taxes have gone up. Rental assistance money was coming in. If we do not see a strong stimulus next month, so come October, November, by November, if we do not see some stimulus come in and paychecks come into people's pockets, I really think there's going to be a big problem. Now, the other part of this problem is that eviction ban. And I want to talk about that eviction ban really quickly before I jump into the numbers. So the eviction ban has caused many issues with tenants not wanting to pay rent, even if they could, right? Tenants are now taking advantage of landlords such as myself, right? And what is happening is, because they know that the eviction ban is in play, they are refusing to pay rent even when they have the capability or the ability to pay this rent. Now, this is something that is happening all over, probably, I'm assuming, the United States right now. And tenants are now in a position where they can take advantage of landlords. And landlords are in a position where now we have to come up with innovative techniques and strategies to try to pull as much money out as possible. And if we're not going to be able to pull that money out from the tenant, we're going to have to go to rental assistance programs and other nonprofits who are not depleted. So it's very interesting. I think this cycle is it's the chicken and the egg, right? Which came first? So tenants are unwilling to pay because they know the eviction ban is in place. So they know they can't get evicted. Now, this is forcing landlords to now find other means to make payments or to receive payments, because they know that payment is due. So they have to pay their bank, they have to pay the insurance, they have to pay maintenance, they have to pay for repairs, they still have to pay for all of this. And what's ending up happening is that we are actually seeing a higher rate of assistance from the city of Houston than we did in the past. And I want to talk specifically about September, because wow, September has been an interesting month. Of course, we're not mid-September. I would still give it a few days to see how much rent I can collect. But by the 8th, which is today, I have a pretty good idea as to what kind of rent should we have received per property, just based on the trending data that we've had over the past few years, and how much money we should have in the bank by the 8th. And I can tell you that we are about at least 10 to 15% short on each and every property. Well, actually, I take that back. Two of my properties are on par, and they have not been affected. They have exactly this. They have collected all of their rents the way they should have. The other 9 properties that I have, these are all multifamily. The other 9 properties that I do have about a 10 to 15% delayed rent receivable. Now, a lot of these apartment communities, the tenants are going to pay. So we have like a commitment from all our tenants that they are going to pay. However, by the 8th, usually we have that money in the bank. And this time, what I'm noticing is that money is not actually in the bank account, which means there is a delay. We're not charging late fees. Obviously, we understand that this is a pandemic, and we are not filing evictions. So when we don't file evictions, why are we not filing evictions, right? We're here to do business in the long term. And I don't believe filing evictions on tenants that were previously good and paid rent on time and had no issues and have good standing with us. I don't think filing an eviction on those type of tenants will do us as a company any good. In fact, if anything, I would love to keep those tenants. We are working with them on payment plans, but unfortunately, payment plans just do not give us enough revenue in order to cover our expenses, right? So what we need to come up with is a hybrid model where we take part of the money from the tenant, and then the other part we try to get and chase nonprofits, or we try to chase the city to get those to get the remaining amount of that money so that we can keep those properties on track. Now, I will also tell you this. I think that the city's rental assistance program is a great program. I'm not in any way saying that it is not a good program. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know that for a fact on the commercial real estate side, so like on the offices, on your retail, there is no rental assistance program. The fact that the city is helping to pay for people, whether that's on the expense of the landlord or not, I do not know. But the fact that they are helping do that, that is still a good thing on their end. I think that is a great thing, and they should continue to do that. Now, do I believe that that is on my dime, on the landlord's dime? I do believe that the city is partially taking out that money from the taxes that we are paying on all our properties, which went up significantly, and using that same money and recirculating it back into rental assistance, meaning it's not really doing much for us. But that is a topic for another day. I don't think I want to discuss that just yet, just because it's a very lengthy topic and it'll take a lot of time. So cities doing rental assistance, I think that's great. I also think that there has to be another round of stimulus checks for these tenants. I think that $1,200 is a joke, and I think that the fact that the Democrats and the Republicans are taking forever to hash this out and having these poor people kind of stranded and left in the midst of like the unknown for whatever reason, I think that's completely unacceptable. I think people should do something. I mean, I think the government has to do something about that and give these people a second round of $1,200 just to keep things moving. I think that's very important to keep the economy moving. So now that I've discussed all those points, I really want to get into the numbers and what the data is telling me. So occupancy amongst all my properties on an average is at about a 97. I would say, okay, I'm not exactly sure where we stand today, but I would say we are occupied between 94 to 97% overall in our portfolio, which is great. Our occupancies are in the high 90s. We can't complain. If we made collections at high 90s, we would essentially be unaffected. The business would be unaffected, and we'd be moving just like we were any other day. The delta that I'm seeing, or the spread that I'm noticing right now, is basically between occupancy and collection. So if our occupancy is at 95%, and I'm telling you that we are at a 10% spread, that means 10%, we are unable to collect 10 to 15% of rent. So essentially we are collecting about 80 to 85% of rent, right? So let's just say, to keep the numbers easy, that our occupancy is at 95%. If we calculate a 10% spread from there, that's 85% collections. Now, at 85% collections, it becomes very hard to manage these properties in the right way, just because that income that we lose is usually the money that we put into improving the property and maintaining it. And that is the first thing that gets cut when we are unable to collect that money, right? So the property is still, of course, very habitable, but the issues that arise is that we are unable to improve and maintain them the way we would like to, right? Meaning you have good landscaping, your gates are working all the time, you have people on site. If you have minor things that go wrong, these are all things that you want to take care of in your communities for your tenants. And that 10% really is the amount that we use to provide that service, to provide that added service that other people don't provide. When we don't get that added 10%, what ends up happening is that we are unable to provide those services to our tenants. And I think that is just, that puts us as landlords in a tough spot, but that also puts the tenant in a very difficult position, because now the tenant has been used to a certain type of service and we cannot provide it for them just because we're unable to get that income. Now, I will tell you this. I think if we do not see another round of stimulus, whether that's PPP, EIDL, stimulus check, whatever it is, if we do not see another round of stimulus very soon, I think things are going to get worse. And I think collections are going to start declining a little more. And that's something that, I don't worry about too much as far as financials, but I do worry about from a tenant perspective, because if tenants are not paying rent, that leads me to believe that they are out of a job or just not working. And that has a larger impact on the economy than my 11 apartment communities, right? And then what ends up circling back, and the reason I'm talking about all of this is because this does all circle back to the apartment community, is then the price of real estate, commercial real estate, will begin to decline. And so although real estate is a very slow moving ship, when it does shift, that is a serious indicator that, and serious sign that something is happening with the economy. And that's something that we want to kind of take a look at. That's something we want to understand a little better, which is why I'm sitting back right now and I'm trying to analyze the market, trying to figure out where the right point of entry is. If somebody wanted to buy commercial real estate today, I need to figure out where the right point of entry for that purchase would be. I will also tell you guys this, and this is information that I have firsthand, right? I have seen in the past 2 weeks a couple of deals that are upside down. And what that means is they are cash flow negative. And that is a great sign, or that is a red flag rather in our business, that people are now starting to have deals that are cash flow negative. I will tell you this as well, that none of those deals belong to me. However, they belong to close friends of mine. And this is not due to mismanagement. This has nothing, they are not bad general partners or operators. In fact, if anything, they're amazing operators and they have experience in the market for over, I would say, 15 years, right? They're excellent operators. I have full trust in them. It's just that deals are now not cash flowing the way they used to. And the reason for that is partially the taxes in Houston. The taxes in Houston and some deals have just gone up so drastically that it's become very difficult for these people to make these deals cash flow positive. Now they're going to litigate. Of course, they're going to go to court and they're going to fight it, but that takes time. That takes about 2 years. For 2 years, those deals are going to go under. I just hope that they don't have any refinances or anything coming up in that time, or their loans are not due. And they can hold on to those deals while these deals cash flow negative for a while. Of course, these people have large reserves, so I'm not too worried about the deal. I don't think these deals are going to go into foreclosure per se, but this is something that we are starting to see. And I have been in this business for 6 years, and for 6 years I have not seen a scenario where deals are now starting to go cash flow negative. Usually deals go cash flow negative just because of in our space, in the apartment world, deals will go cash flow negative for many reasons. And a lot of them are the expenses are too high, or it's a value add deal where, the expenses are once again too high and they need to now bring the income to a higher level. And that is something that is totally doable and they can turn those deals around. But now we are seeing stabilized deals that are starting to go cash flow negative. So that is kind of like, it's a red flag, and I want to wait. I want to see. I'm sure I'm going to see in the next few months, I am going to see more deals that are cash flow negative. So that's something that I'm going to keep my eye out for. And I am also going to probably jump back into the market when I find a deal that I'm happy with. As of right now, am I investing in real estate? No, I am not active in real estate. The last deal I bought was in January of 2020. It was a great deal. We had a great buffer in that deal, and I'm really happy that I did not purchase any more deals after January of 2020. The trend moving forward, unless we see stimulus in the economy in the next few months, I would say that the trend is clearly heading downward. And that is something that I think a lot of people will agree with. The trend is heading downward. Okay, that's for multifamily. Multifamily is out of the way. We know that we have a 10% spread. It's the 8th. By the 15th, hopefully I will have a better report for you guys, because by the 15th, we should have had all our collections in place. Now, that's it for multifamily. Now I want to talk about industrial real estate. So industrial real estate is absolutely crushing it right now. Rents are at record highs. Occupancies are at record highs. The pandemic has taught me one thing, and that is e-commerce. People are loving e-commerce. People are loving buying things online. This is the first time that we have baby boomers purchasing things online and accepting e-commerce as a way of life. So the fact that baby boomers are now using their phones to order things online at a record high level means that there is going to be great demand for products, and there's going to be great opportunity for products to sell online. If you look historically at the data, we have baby boomers that were buying things online, but then when you come to realize the products that they buy don't align with their age group. And what that means is that usually it will be the baby boomer's credit card on file, but it's either their child or their grandchild that is making the purchase online. It is not them, because you'll have, baby boomers that are buying infant stuff, or like, games and stuff that they would obviously not be into for the first time, that data has trended where now baby boomers are buying things that they actually need. And what this means is that industrial real estate is going to continue to be very strong. The e-commerce businesses are going to continue to be very strong, and things are just going to be looking up for the boomers. And of course, this is something that is Oh, I have a question. Okay, I'll get to your question, Ronnie, just in a second. So, of course, I think industrial real estate is going to continue to crush it. I think industrial real estate cap rates are going to compress. So for those of you who are familiar with cap rates, industrial real estate has one of the highest cap rates, meaning it sells at the lowest valuation. I think those cap rates are going to compress, and we are going to see more valuation plays in industrial real estate. So I think that is something that is definitely out there, and I think that's going to happen in the next 6 months or so, while multifamily real estate is going to kind of stagnate a little bit. I think, okay, so Ronnie, I think what's going to end up happening is we are going to see another stimulus package right before the election. And this is not focusing on politics. I think both sides, when it comes to pushing out the stimulus package, are just using it to their advantage, and using the elections and basically holding the elections hostage, and trying to, figure things out. So I think there really needs to be another round of stimulus before the elections, and I think that will clear out a lot of things and make things easier for just for the people. I think that the fact that we have held stimulus money for so long is completely wrong, and it's a joke. I think that people should have received stimulus much earlier, a second round of stimulus much earlier, and that would have really helped them out in their lives. That would help them pay rent. That would help them pay their cars. That would help them pay bills, groceries, whatever it is that they needed. I think a second round is needed. Now, whether that comes in the form of PPP, EIDL, unemployment, or another stimulus check, I think any of those ways will work. And that's kind of how I look at it. Now, as far as the data on other asset classes, I personally have not invested in offices or retail, so I don't have too much information on that. But I can tell you this: the fact that the apartment business is hurting, and this is the first time in 6 years that I've seen the apartment business have that spread, that 10% spread of collections by the 15th. This is a key indicator, because the apartment business is probably the last business to get hurt. So this is a key indicator that the office guys and the retail guys are probably hurting really badly. I think the highest level of foreclosures are probably going to be in the office and retail space. And that is kind of, and that's kind of what all the studies and what all the data is telling us. And the reason that there's going to be foreclosures is not because of the no business. Let's just say, for example, office and retail even suffered occupancy losses over the past couple of months, and that's part of the reason. The other part is that the debt structure of office and retail is very aggressive. They use a product called CMBS, and CMBS debt is basically like a bridge loan, and it's meant to take you to permanent debt, but none of these syndicators take it to permanent debt, because what they do is they'll get a CMBS loan and then they'll exit while they're still in that loan. And those loans are very risky. And those are probably, I would think that CMBS is probably the first place where things are going to go into foreclosure. So if anybody here knows what CMBS is or has CMBS debt, try to move it into agency debt or government subsidized debt of some kind, if you can. That would be a suggestion. I think that is an important play in today's market, and it's definitely something that you guys need to look into. And that's really it for me, guys, in this video. I just wanted to talk to you about what I'm seeing in September. And what I'm seeing is trending downward for sure. I will have more details. I will have more details on the market on the 15th, and I'll do another live on the 15th to give you guys an update, to show you guys where my collections have been on the 15th. I anticipate, of course, I'm going to collect some rent by the 15th. I don't think it'll be exactly, like what it was if you go back to my trailing six. So this is just information I'm putting out there for you guys. This is first-hand information. This is live information. This is information that I have collected from my own portfolio. So regardless of what other people are telling you, I think this information is very vital, and the information that I will bring on the 15th will also be very important. And with that, good night. I will see you guys on the 15th.